It'll be warm enough with all the hair I have. How we doing? Ooh, hi. A little loud. So my name's David Dubé. Today, so make lifelong clients in 30 seconds is the title, but you're only going to be able to get a portion of it because it's actually like a 4 to 6 hour course. We only have 50 minutes. So I hope that's all right. I did the part you're going to be listening to is the people and personality part. Can you guys hear me fine? All right, good deal. Disclaimer. This is not an exact science. Never was, never will be. Read any personality typing books, they'll tell you the same thing. How many of you guys have ever taken Myers-Briggs before? Anyone? You guys know what you are? You remember what you are? Yeah. Do you know what I am? So I worked on the KISS principle, keep it super simple. I mean, there's another version of that acronym, and that's how I built mine. So I started this in 2004. I'll go a little bit more into that. So questions to consider before we go through this is, first off, what do you want out of this? What is it you're looking for? And I think with every course you go into, with everything that you do, you should have an intention. So if you go out for drinks with a friend, what's your intention with your friend? If you have a phone call with someone, what's your intention with that phone call? As opposed to wasting time. Time efficiency is a huge thing for me. Why is it so important to know who they are? And secondly, or lastly, is what does knowing who they are do for you and for them? And hopefully by the end of this, you'll have the answers to these questions. So what we're going to be covering today, first off, is who this guy is. Next, circle of life, the 4 stages of learning, reverse engineering people, and then implementation, how to implement what you learned today. Is that all right? You guys okay with that? All right, good. Whew. All right, that's me, David Dubé. I know, I'm here too. It works out to have a double version of me, I know. I was born and raised here in Minnesota. I love Minnesota. One of the biggest things about being raised here is, everyone's supposed to be really nice, at least to your face they are, but you get them behind the wheel and they hate you. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because how many of you here are the best drivers on the road where everyone else sucks? Exactly. You guys share my pain too. All right, so I went to school for illustration and photography, so this first picture is a self-portrait I drew. That must be the wrong one. But some photos I've taken and some drawings I've done. I draw with pen because if you make a mistake, it's always there. I kind of like that idea. Life is the same way. If you make a mistake, it doesn't go away, right? The only difference between making a mistake is your perception of it being a mistake or not a mistake. So that's that. But then this next slide here is the reason why I do everything. Okay, not this blank one, but the image that's about to appear, you'll get that in a second. It's pretty much the reason I do everything, is this person. This is my sister. She's the eldest in the family. It's my sister, my brother, and then myself. She's blind and autistic, and this past year, in January, our mother passed away. And my sister was living with my mother. Now she lives with me. She's the reason I do pretty much everything I do today. So it's good to have one of those in your life. So how many of you have kids? That's a good reason to do things, right? You have children. Now, I don't have children, but I have an amazing sister, and she's someone I actually look up to because she doesn't pretend to be anything to anyone. She's always herself. And you can truly appreciate someone who's always themselves. Would you guys agree to that? Exactly. So how and why did I start my company, which is, there's the book I co-authored. So feel free to go on Amazon, pick that up right now. But the reason why I did what I did, I'll get to this here in a second. Only One You Need is the name of my company. And a lot of people ask, so you're the only one I need? No, I'm not. You are. It's my job to show you how to get out of your own way so you can live the life that you truly desire. That's why I do what I do. Besides my sister. People get things, but they seldom understand them. I've been saying this. I wrote this down in my journal when I was 18. I don't know where the epiphany came from. But how many of you here know how many systems are in the human body? Anyone? How many systems in the human body? Really? No one knows? How many? What? No. How many? Guess. Come on, I'll take guesses. Okay, 12. So now I'm sure there's more than that, but science up to this point, if you Google it, there's 12. Do you guys get this? We get things. We all have a human body, but we seldom understand it. You didn't even know how many systems are in your body. Isn't that crazy? You have one body, and yet what do? We spend our lives focused on everything outside of us. We try to understand the world around us, yet we don't even understand ourselves. When I started my business, it was because I saw a disconnect between people and understanding. We all have things in our lives. How many of you here drive? Now, if your car broke down on the way here, how many of you could fix your car? Just a few handful, right? So the majority of us, we all have cars, but we don't understand how they operate. We all have bodies, but we don't understand how they operate. If you really want to lead a life that's on purpose, know your purpose, know who you are, know all about yourself. This is a huge part about why I do everything, is because there's a disconnect between ourselves and the external world around us. Understand yourself, you'll begin to understand so much more in your life. So, let's get to it. Relationship. When was the last time you guys ever looked this word up? So, never. Okay. So, let's cover relationship. So, back again. So, to revisit, to come back again to something. Relate. So, circa 1500, persons related by blood or marriage. That's where that word came from, relation, connection, or correspondence to. So the connection or correspondence is something again and again, and then ship, quality or condition. The quality or condition of something. When was the last time you thought about the relationship you have with your parents, your best friend? This is the whole thing right here, relationship. Words are so important, and yet we don't also understand the words that we use. Change your words, change your life. How many of you heard this before? Finish the statement. Okay, right? Treat everyone like you would like to. Wrong. Treat everyone how they would like to be treated. How many of you would treat your best friend like you treat your mom, or your mom like your best friend? How about? How many of you would treat your mom like you do your best friend? Would you send your mom the same text message you send your best friend? Probably not. And there you go. So the idea here, and it's not even the idea, the purpose is to know who you're interacting with, because if you know who you're interacting with, well, don't you think you could connect with them on a better level? Don't you think you could get more value out of it, give more value to them based on that? You guys agree with that? So that's why this is so valuable. Next is the circle of life. Let me take a sip of my water first. So imagine a circle with 3 equal quadrants. Okay, you don't have to. There it is. All right, I'm sure you guys will agree with this first one, that no matter where you go on the face of this earth, we all have what in common? What do we have in common? All right, I'll give it to you. It's time. We all have time, right? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no matter where you go. Everyone has the same amount of time, right? This next quadrant is where differentiation happens. That is with choices. We all have the opportunity to choose what we do with our time. Would you guys agree to that? I hope so. More feedback? Any feedback? Some feedback? I mean, the camera thinks it's just me up here, talking to no one. All right. This is the differentiating factor. Right here is you. You are the everything. What would you say is the most important thing in your life right now? What would you guys say is the most important thing in your life? Anything? Your grandkids? Anyone else have any answers here? Most important thing in your life? What's that? Okay, providing for family. Anyone else got anything? So the 3 answers I get the most of are children, grandchildren, children, significant other, and God. But you know the most important thing is right there. How many of you have flown on an aircraft before, right? And you had them, they do the safety thing. What do they say about the oxygen mask? What do you have to do with it when it comes down? Put it on you first, right? Why do they say to do that?
So you can zoom
Okay, yes, there you go, because you're pass out within 7 seconds. A drowning person can't save another drowning person, can they? The reason why you are the most important person is because nothing exists without you. You can't have children if you're not here to first have children. You can't believe in a God if you're not here to first believe in a God. You can't have anything without you being here first. You are vitally important to everything. Your perception is your reality. So as soon as you understand that you are everything, meaning it all begins and ends with you, is when you can first start to realize the importance of everything you do. Next, 4 stages of learning. The first, unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you do not know. How many of you have heard this before? Anyone? So for those of you hearing this for the first time, you don't know what you don't know until now. You've now become aware of it, so you're consciously incompetent. Now, you aren't, but the idea is that you're first learning it, so you don't understand this yet. The next stage is conscious competence. You know what you know, or you know that you know. And then finally, the last stage is unconscious competence. You know so well you just do. Most people stop at conscious competence. That's why so many people suck at driving. So, but the idea is this. I'll give you a story here to relate this to you so you can maybe have a better idea for those of you who've never heard this before. And that is when I was 13, 14, and I wanted to go to a friend's house, I went to my mother and father and said, Mom, Dad, can you drive me there? If they said no, I either biked there, I jogged there, I walked there, or I swam there. I lived on a lake. And so those are the things that I knew. But then my brother turned 15. He got his permit. I knew I'd be driving. I went from unconscious incompetent. I'd never even thought about driving. My brother got his license. I'll be driving soon. I still didn't know how to drive, so I was conscious about it, but I was still incompetent on how to drive. And then finally, I'm behind the wheel with my father, first time, in his Honda Accord. I said, Dad, why don't people drive with 2 feet? Now, he had an automatic. How many of you have ever drove an automatic with 2 feet before? It's a terrible experience. My dad said, well, why don't you try? We both learned, and my dad learned that he shouldn't let me drive his car. So that was a quick experience. And then finally, how many of you have a long commute to work? Some of you, how many of you have to go through several stoplights to get to work? Okay. Now, on Friday, yesterday, how many of you can remember how many stoplights you stopped at? Exactly. And if it's all freeway, how many of you know how many people you passed or passed you? See, you know so well you just do. It's just a part of who you are. And now you don't ever have to think about it. When was the last time you thought about walking? You just got up when you had to go to the bathroom, didn't you? You didn't think about it, you just did it. But at some point, you had to think about doing it before you could. The idea is you want to get to unconscious competent with everything that you want to be proficient at. Because if you're proficient at it, if you do it again and again and again, you will be so good at it, you don't even have to think about it. And that's why this is so important to know. So now we'll get to the basics of personality typing. So I have 4 basic personality types. The first of which is the heart personality, the lifeblood of our country, or our world, of everything. Without the heart, you can't really do anything. Do you guys agree to that? Take the heart out, you're gone. Next is the body, the physicality of who you are. Everyone sees it, it's part of everything we do. We're such an external set of people. We live externally of ourselves. The body is so valuable or invaluable to who we are. Finally, the mind. The mind, this is where we break everything down. This is how we figure things out. And then lastly, it's the soul, the fulfilling nature of all that we do. So these are the 4 basic types, and I'll be covering them by strengths, weaknesses, and then we'll go into how to figure out someone's personality type based on what they dress, based on their appearance. You guys ready for this? Good. I'll probably go pretty quick here, just so you know, so keep up. And at the very end, if you didn't take notes, or you aren't taking notes and you want these slides, you'll have the opportunity to get these slides at the very end too. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't take notes, because you might hear something I say that's not on the slides. Does that make sense? So certainly want to do that. So strengths here. These are workaholics. They are natural leaders, decision makers, problem solvers, goal-oriented, very time-effective individuals, always on time, focused, results-oriented. They're driven, money-motivated, innovators, always well-kept, high sense of self-worth. You guys get all that? Give you a second while. Now, as I get further into this, it'll start to become, now also I want you to understand that a lot of people are hybrids of these, where very few people will just be drastically one, but when I get to the photos, you'll definitely get how some of them are really just that one. Body. So optimistic. These are great salespeople right here. Outgoing, people persons, enthusiastic, team player, risk taker. Center of attention, personable, persuasive, creative, social butterfly, seeks change. Oops. We all have friends like this. The center of attention. The one friend that always dresses up more than the rest. Or maybe it's the brother or sister that spent 2 hours in the restroom getting ready while you had to go. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Mind. These are the precise people, very system-oriented, process-driven, accurate, highly intuitive, self-disciplined, faithful, dedicated, punctual, time-conscious, great planners, problem solvers, persistent, and economical. These are most of the tech individuals you'll find right here. How many of you are wearing digital watches? Typically, they're right here. Soul, their strengths, counselors. These are the relators, relationship-driven people, team-oriented, imaginative, relator, traditionalists, action-oriented, like stability, very dependable, supportive, questioning, intuitive individuals. How many of you guys ever seen the movie, is it Bedazzled, Blazed? Who's seen Encino Man? Who's the guy that's in Encino Man? Brendan Fraser's in the movie that I'm talking about. It's with, he plays just a bunch of different characters in that movie. Do you know what, that's Bedazzled? Anyone ever see that movie? Yeah, he plays like she plays the devil and she puts him in all these characters. Yeah, when he's like the singer on the beach and he's crying at the sunset, that's like the most drastic portion of this right here. It's just so beautiful. Yeah, exactly. Most sensitive man in the world's right here. All right, so let's get to the weaknesses. Here you're going to find egotistical, short-tempered, hot-headed. They fear being taken advantage of, rude and impatient, short-tempered, blunt, pushy, overbearing, not a team player, narrow-minded, control freak. This might remind you of some people you may know. Demanding, offensive. You guys know people like this at all? Yourself? Yeah. I could totally tell Caleb. He totally seemed like that kind of guy. Workaholic there too. Which, you know, some of these have their plus sides as well. But body weakness. So starry-eyed, meaning like there's just so many things that they want to do. Oh my gosh. How many of you guys know someone who makes or maybe it's you, makes 20 plans on Saturday night, but ends up only doing 2 of them, so everyone else they made plans with, they kind of hurt their feelings? You guys know people like that? That's this person. Starry-eyed, afraid of hurting others, yet they do. Clown, party animal, flippant. These are the ones that are in the front of the line when you're at the restaurant. And they're like, that sounds good, but that sounds good. You've decided and you're behind them going, just make up your mind. Always late, impractical, needs approval, disorganized, opinionated, needs instruction, needs people. So you guys know people like this now? Yeah. It's starting to come together. All right. The mind. Boy, these are the must be right. They're so slow on decisions. How many of you guys seen the movie Taken before? So in the very beginning of Taken, Liam Neeson goes into the shop because he's going to buy something for his daughter. And the guy's like, "You going to buy it already? You've been here 20 times and you read the instruction manual." He can't make a decision because he doesn't want to make a mistake. Suspicious, fanatic, low tolerance of criticism, reactionary. I mean, he was reactionary. He could have saved his daughter well before this happened. Low pressure, unreasonable, undemanding of others, quiet, too serious. You guys know people like this? So it's starting to come together. That's what I like to hear. All right, the soul. They need people as well. Lacks individual initiative. They need that guidance. Opposes change, clings to old, possessive, indecisive, disorganized, often late for sure, no pressure, no risk, needs people. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to come to some images of some individuals. Yes?
What do you mean by no pressure and before you said low pressure online? What do you mean by that?
So if someone puts them into pressure mode, then they'll just get out, they'll back away. They don't want to make that decision. And there's a graph here at the end that will kind of make a little more sense of all of this too. So that's where all of this will kind of come together. All right, so now I'm going to show you some images, and you guys can tell me which personality type you believe they are. Who's this? And which personality type do you think he is? What's that? He's the mind. He's the mind. How about this one? What is Oprah? She's soul. She's very much a heart too, but she's more of a soul. What a sweet soul she is. Who's this? And what is he? What's that? He's the heart. Offensive, egotistical, narrow-focused. You guys with me on this one? All right. And who's this? Kardashian. And what is she? Obviously, she's the body personality. Yeah. Obviously. All right. Let's talk about their appearance. So the heart appearance. So sharp dresser, solid colors, clean, tidy, gold platinum jewelry, faced watch, nice car, dresses for occasion. They know where to fit in. Takes care of personal property, clean shaven for men, a small briefcase, small purse, and then their organized home, car, and office. So these are the ones that in high school, they always had the nice car, but everything else in their life just seemed like a mess. But they'd always have the polished car. They'd always take care of that. Anyone had that person? Or they had the really crappy car, but they had the nice rims on it? Anyone? You guys remember those? I remember those days. Let's talk about the body. All right, so nice dresser. These are the ones they want to be noticed, right? So they're the ones who wear the sequin dresses or the off-colored shoes or bright colors, dolled up. They have the latest, greatest of fashion. They accessorize everything. They don't have a watch. In fact, they won't own a watch unless it's really pretty, and that's the only reason why they wear it. Well-groomed, silver platinum jewelry, accessorizes everything. They're the ones that have like a wrist full of silver and all that other stuff. No watch, tattoos. So if they get a tattoo, it's going to be, oh, that's an awesome tattoo. Why did you get it? Because it looks good. Now, mind you, this is like the extreme version of each of the personality types that I'm really talking about here, because as a hybrid, that's not necessarily going to be the case. So piercings, these are going to be the beauty piercings, the side nose ring or the Monroe, those types of piercings. Trendy, large purse. For purses, it's like a body bag sometimes. You ever see someone carrying around what looks like a body bag? That's going to be this person. They have their whole life in there. Messy home, car, and office. They have their closet and their trunk because they're always changing into different outfits. Now, that's not the case with everyone. Once again, I'm talking about the extremes of each. So the mind, they will dress for the occasion, practical dresser, clean and tidy, little to no jewelry, digital watch, glasses, earthy tones and color. Everything has its place, home office. You guys know people like this now? Is starting to make some sense to you guys? Good deal. Soul. Natural look. These are the ones with, so guys that have dreads, right here. Guys with facial hair, right here. Long hair, right here for men. Earthy tones, once again, handmade or gifted jewelry. No watch. tattoos, these are the ones who will get their entire body tatted, but they'll have a reason for every tattoo they have. Right? Oh, I got this because it reminds me of my aunt or my mom, my grandmother, whatever. Piercings, these are ones who will have the gauged earrings. They'll have the bullhorn or the whatever piercing in the middle of the nose there. Large purse or bag, disorganized home, car, or office. All right, some more pictures for you guys. Who's this? Paris Hilton. What would she be? Body personality type. Who's this? And what would you say she is? She's the mind. Mind personality. Who's this? Why did she go to jail? Securities fraud, money. All right, and then this, soul personality. All right, how many of you guys like movies? You guys should know them, these next ones. Who's that? It's Leonardo, but he's playing Jordan Belfort, right? Wolf on Wall Street. That one, what did he go to prison for? Money. Heart. Who's this? Bryan Cranston, but who's he playing? Walter White. Anyone see that show? He's a science teacher. He actually is like the perfect example of the mind personality type. He's a perfect example. Who's this? Okay, yes, it's Ryan Reynolds, but who's the character he's playing? Does no one know? No one knows Van Wilder? So he's the what personality type? He's obviously dressed for attention here, isn't he? He's the body personality type. And then lastly, do anyone know who this is? So yeah, it's Matthew McConaughey, but who's he playing? Yeah, it's Dallas Buyers Club, and it's Ron Woodruff. And what did he do in that movie? He brought vitamins to people fighting HIV, right? Which is probably a noble cause. Soul personality. He certainly did not start out that way, absolutely not. But in that position he was. So, all right, so here's where we find understanding contrast, the differences in the personality types. So let's just say you know someone who seems to fit both the mind and the body, or maybe the mind and the heart, whatever combinations you can see that someone has, and you're like, well, how do I know which one they really are to relate to them better, to go to their level? Because ultimately, if you're going to connect with someone, are you going to connect with them like Terminator, or are you going to go in like James Bond? How does Terminator deal with people? He just shoots them up, right? How does James Bond deal with people? He figures out whether or not he should kill them, right? So, that's not what I'm saying you should do by any stretch of the imagination, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying by that is that you want to understand who you're connecting with. It's like two sides of, there's a body of water between the two, and you need to build a bridge between the two of you. How do you create that commonality? The best way is to figure out which side they are. And how do you do that? So the body and the mind, they're very task-oriented individuals. They're about getting things done. They're production. That's what they're about. So then on the other side, with the body and the soul, they're about people. They are people. They want to be related to. They want to build common ground. So you don't want to waste the time of these two here. In fact, the mind person, they're not going to tell you that you're wasting their time. They're going to keep that to themselves, and they're going to be like, in their mind, they're going to be like, when is this going to get over with? Just give me the meat and potato, give me the facts, and I'll get out and go do it, but don't waste my time. Where the heart will tell you, get out of my office, you're wasting my time. But so those two, they want to know what the purpose is. They want to know what the point is. Get to the point quicker. The others, well, they want to be your best friend first. And then they care. Because you gave them reason now to go do what it is that you're asking. They want to be recognized as well. So next, above, you have aggressive individuals. So are they more aggressive, or are they more passive? Are they more optimistic and outgoing, or are they to themselves? This is how you can decipher whether or not they are more of one than another. Does this make sense to you guys? So this is what I was talking about. When you understand the contrasting differences between them, it can give you that bridge that you're looking for. Yes?
Is there, outside of their physical appearance, is there anything in the first minutes, say, if you're going to interview or that effect, is there anything that you look for that will help you outside of just how they dress, how they present themselves, that you can categorize?
Imagery, what do they keep on their desk? What do they have in their office? If you have the option of LinkedIn, find their Facebook page, find their Twitter, find their Instagram. What are they taking pictures of? What are they sharing? That's going to tell you what their personality type is as well. And then one of the biggest things also to just get into the habit of, take notes on people. I would sit at restaurants and bars all the time or bookstores, and I'd say, this is their personality. Like, I would go through and be like, okay, soul person, mind person, body person, heart person. And then if I had the chance or opportunity to meet with them, then I would really get to know whether or not I was right. Networking events is a great place to do that. Like here, during lunch, you could just look around, figure out, obviously a little late for lunch, but at the very end, you could do that, figure out, where do you think people are, and then talk to them, engage them, and figure out if you were right. Find out if that was the case. How many of you would like the ability to overcome or relate to people a little bit better? How many of you get in arguments with your significant other? Have ever done that? Anyone? How many of you like to avoid arguments more? You guys like the idea of avoiding arguments more? Would you guys like a tip on how to do that? I mean, if you don't want a tip, I won't give you one, but I want to ask, do you guys do you care? Okay. So here's one thing that I want to give you guys. This is a cheat sheet. The cool thing about this cheat sheet, you can look at their strengths, you can look at a ton of different information on individuals and decide how you want to connect with them based on what it is that they're looking for. So you can get this, you can get all my slides actually by going here. So if you enter your email, you will get, now I'm not going to solicit you guys for a bunch of junk or anything like that, but by doing this, you'll get every single slide you saw, minus the ones about me and my sister. Just saying. So, and also, yeah, I kind of glossed over it. I am an author. I meant to talk about that a little bit more, but I didn't. So, co-author this book. It's a really good book. It's called HD Mindset, High Definition Mindset. I wrote it with one of my good friends who's a hypnotherapy and neurolinguistic programming practitioner. We co-authored this book. It's really about living on purpose, living with clarity in your life. Most people, they don't know what they want, therefore they can't get it. So when you create clarity in your life, you can actually achieve certain things because it's crystal clear to you. If it's not crystal clear, if your life isn't clear, you're not going to achieve those things. So now I'll get to, yeah.
I just had a question about your personality type.
Yeah.
Do they evolve or do they change based on the situation? I know it's personality, but like your core, as you grew up, can you move from a mind into more of a body if you're a hybrid? Or
Yeah, it can, but it's typically very little. When I actually give this course to companies, I charge between $3,000 and $5,000 for a whole day, and it's a 6-hour course. We do the testing. The perfect personality would be a square where you fit pretty much in every single one. And I'm close where I'm more soul. So like example, I have facial hair. Obviously, it fell off here and landed here. Facial hair would tell you, okay, he's a soul personality, but it's also pretty well groomed, right? It's not hanging out everywhere, which would probably tell you he's probably something else as well. So I'm wearing a face watch, I'm dressed kind of decently. So the idea is he a body or is he a heart? Well, he's got a watch, so he's probably more of a heart personality, second. So you could relate to me on either of those based on what you see. Does that make sense? So that's what you want to do. You want to look for the other side, and whether or not I'm more of a optimistic or not necessarily optimistic, but am I more of an aggressive person? Am I more people-oriented or more task-oriented? I'm kind of in between, so lucky me, right? So, all right, so now I'll get to the part with the overcoming arguments. So I actually attached the second part of this course to this. I'll just get to it. Well, this is pretty important too, how we learn. This is very interesting. So the first way in which we learn is through relating. If you can't build a relationship with something, it's very hard for you to understand it. That's one of the things that totally baffles me, how people go through life and, well, yeah, I get that. No, you don't understand it. You might get it once again, right? People get things, but they seldom understand them. So relating to something, if you can find common ground, a commonality with something, so if it's a foreign language, what makes that foreign language work in the terms that you understand will make a bridge quicker for you to actually grasp that foreign language. The second way is through repetition. If you consistently go through something, if you hadn't found out about math until today, right, and someone just said, hey, this is math, you'd probably be pretty confused. But if you went and did it every single day, built that repetition of the numbers, you could probably figure it out. Next is laughter. How many of you done something really stupid and then laughed at yourself about it? What happens when you laugh is you actually internalize instantly what is that just happened. And then you also know, I'm not going to do that again. And then finally is perceived failure. We don't learn from our successes, we learn through our perception of failure. 4 big ways. Next is the 2 directions we move. This is absolutely massive and something that blows my mind. There's only 2 directions we move in life, just 2. Nothing more than that, nothing less than that. You're either growing or you're dying. Why don't you drink from a puddle? Anyone know? What? A puddle. Well, clearly it's gross, but let's just say you go to, there's no water around, there's a hole there, there's some water in it. Why don't you drink from it? Right, but it's stagnant, right? Stagnation is death. So as soon as you plateau, you've begun the stagnation process. Now, I'm not saying don't relax, don't sit down, don't take a break. What I'm saying is continually grow. So you're either growing or you're dying. So growth, life, stagnation, death. 2 directions we move. You guys know who this person is? Right? He painted this painting. Right? Leonardo Da Vinci. He said something absolutely amazing. He said this way back when in the early 1500s, and it's average human looks without seeing, listens without hearing, touches without feeling, eats without tasting, moves without physical awareness, inhales without awareness of odor or fragrance, and talks without thinking. That's more true now than it was then, wouldn't you agree? What's the most important part of this? Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and inhaling. It's your 5 senses right there. Right? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, which is the feeling part, olfactory and gustatory. 5 senses. This is the way we perceive the world, and most people actually don't pay attention to any of that. We don't think of the words we say, we just say them. So important. That's why this is so important. This leads me to, here's how you solve arguments. You guys ready for this one? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and digital. The 4 learning styles. And these are the 4 communication styles. Communication styles is really what I want to talk about. So here's kind of what it looks like. The amount of visuals over kinesthetic, digitals, and auditories. So visuals, so this is a brief description of what what they normally are. Imaginative, fast-paced. I'm very fast-paced, if you couldn't tell, right? Trying to get there. Outward directed, solves problems from the outside in, high set of standards, learns best from watching, enjoys. Okay, auditory, creative, practical, realist, medium pace. Just kind of want to get through this stuff. These, unfortunately, I don't have for you. But so kinesthetics, intuitive, they're inward directive as opposed to the other 2, which are outward directive, solve problems from the outside or from the inside out. Lower set of standards, learns best through physical interaction. They're doers, so they're the people that you can show them how to do it, but they need to do it in order to learn it. They're the ones who, they'll have a pen and they're always constantly moving their pen, or the one constantly moving their foot while they're doing something. They need that physical movement in order to gain something out of it. So digitals, sensible, practical, process-focused, slow pace, inward directed, solves problems from the inside out, lower set of standards. And lower set of standards, that's external standards. Their internal standards are high. Learns best through breaking it down. The system, process-oriented, right? Okay, so now, he's an auditory, he's a visual, he's a digital, and he's a kinesthetic. That's how that works. And then visual appearances. Let me, we're just gonna go through this quick because we don't have much time. All right, through them. Okay, here it is. So what's so important about our words? This, to me, blows my mind. Did you have another question? Okay, good deal. They connect us. Right? Words connect us. Would you guys agree to that? Okay, good. Oh, wow. Okay. The words we use are vastly important to everything in our lives. This is how other people perceive us based on the words and vocabulary that we give to them. We show people how to treat us by how we treat others, and how we show them how we treat others based, in part, largely by our words. So there's two things we do. We either use our words to build up our relationships, or we use our words to break our relationships. Those are the only two things we do with our words. We're either building or we're destroying. Two things, that's it. So here's where it begins to sink in. First, seek to what?
Listen.
Understand. Close, right? I mean, it is listen, right? Then to be understood. So how do you do that? This is where the important part comes in. When's the last time, I want you to think about the last argument you had with someone. And if you can close your eyes and just listen to the words that they use, this is a key. Because if you want to solve an argument, use their words, not your words. Use their words, not your words. The disconnect within relationships typically is the words we use, our vocabulary. If you use visual words like see, saw, look, view, and they're using other words than that, so I'm just going to put all these up. Maybe you guys want to take a picture of this if this is something you want, because next we'll go over auditory. If I say, did you hear what I'm saying? John, do you hear what I'm saying? But if you're saying, no, I see what you're saying, there's a disconnect. Yes, you're saying essentially the same thing, but you're saying it from your perspective and not theirs. Oftentimes, it's hard to connect with someone when they aren't hearing the same words that you're saying, or that they're saying, rather. So, auditories. Announce, call, divulge, rush, articulate, chime, discuss, quiet. So these are the words that will dominate their vocabulary, opposed to the words that might dominate yours. This one thing has solved so many arguments in so many of my clients' lives. It's unbelievable. Remember, this gentleman said, yeah, he's got so much problems with his daughter. Yeah. Oh, hey, great. Thank you. He had so many issues with his daughter. He came to his business, his company, had me come in and give a talk, talked about this, and a week later, he asked for my email. He sent me an email, said, oh my God, had the biggest breakthrough with my daughter. And it was unbelievable. It was just this one thing that literally changed that relationship. Knowing how to relate to her based upon the words that she used over the words he was using. Kinesthetics. So these are a lot of the vocabulary you'll hear from them. Digital is a bit of a hybrid. I'll just say we'll end it there. Do you guys have questions? You guys learn anything new today? Did anyone learn anything new? Yeah? Well, that's good. But no questions? Why? Yeah.
How did you come up with this list of words? I mean, that seems like a pretty exhaustive process to say, well, this person uses this word. Like, what's the process for that?
The process for finding the words?
Yeah.
Good thing I have a lot of resources at my fingertips. So I've worked with a lot of, so my personal coaches, when I was developing this, helped me actually put a lot of this together. So trust me, it was not all a personal process. It was an exhaustive process for a bunch of us. So great question. Yes, John?
Personality profiling.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one because it's concrete. I think we were describing it before the session, I thought about the difference. See what I'm saying?
Right. And that's a great point. So for those of you who did not hear that, he said this is, out of all the personality typing that he's actually, courses on this that he's been to, he's never found one that actually had anything differentiating people like this. And thought that was really good. And to me, this is probably one of the biggest things that I get the most feedback on is knowing someone's communication style. If you can find someone's communication style in any conversation. So how many of you are in sales here? 2 people? Okay, what else? Any IT? Any IT here? Okay, good deal. Any project managers? Okay. Any other type of management here? Okay. So you guys you have to deal with a lot of people. And I think the one thing out of this is really just hearing someone, listening to them, right? First, listen to understand, then to be understood. This one ability will enable you to connect to more people in a shorter amount of time than anything I could have taught you. Even the personality typing falls short to this just because of this portion of it. To me, it's one of the most powerful. So once again, for any of you who want the slides to this, oh, I go the other way. If you guys want the slides to this, so here's what that looks like, how they kind of coalesce on the personality grid. There's the, so if you want the first half of the slides, take a picture of that, go to that website, and then you'll get an email with the first set, the personality side of the slides. So, well, any other questions? Yeah?
How do you respond? This is great one-on-one, but if you have a group of people and you've got a heart and a mind and in one meeting, like how do you appeal to one without losing the rest?
That's why I just talked about communication styles. If you can use the verbiage, so you see what I'm saying. So it's the engagement of the audience that really is what it comes down to. If you see what I'm saying, do you guys hear where I'm going with this? You feel me on that? So it's using words that everyone can connect to throughout the entire presentation that will draw them or keep them in that, in your communication zone, so they're not falling out and falling asleep or what have you. So that's why the communication style is really one of the bright side of this. This course, actually, I teach a portion of this. The 4th portion of this course is actually cultural personalities. So the first part's people and personalities, learning and communication styles. Then we talk about body language and neurolinguistic programming, which is modeling systems in order to engage people quicker. Using, and it's not like hypnosis or anything like that, but there's like processes that you can use to essentially get people more engaged. And then finally, it's cultural personalities. And cultural personalities is it's dynamic, just similar to the normal personality type. So that's it. We're good? All right, thanks, guys.